Welcome to Lanterns Live. I'm Ralph, and once again, I'm joined by Will Smith from the Green Lanterns podcast. Will, uh, welcome back. We're discussing Green Lantern 16 by Jeremy Adams and Xermánico.
That's how I say it.
Yeah. And we were just talking before, so we might be here just like a few seconds early on this live stream because I needed to talk about this. I might have missed a huge chunk of story. I am not. Here's the thing. I need to do an intro video for this page because I need to let people know that I am definitely not a Green Lantern expert. I'm a Green Lantern fan. And I feel like now that I have a show, like I should probably be getting like regular updates on when like new Green Lantern stories come out. And I missed the Civil Core World
Yep,
War
that's what it was. Green
Yeah.
Lantern Civil Core Special #1.
I did not know that existed. It's probably been brought up here, and I probably didn't know what it was. I'm just like Green Lantern 1, 2, 3. I just go down the list, and it's like I was reminded at the end of this issue that what is it? The Green Lantern Dark is coming.
That's next week.
Yeah. Okay. So I need to like really like reevaluate how I'm intaking my Green Lantern comics because I'm not doing it the right way. If you could do me a favor, because I read this issue, Green Lantern 16, and I was pretty much understood what was going on. It was a little surprising, but I mean, I feel like I'm like, oh, like Mogo is one of these United Planets lantern things.
Yes.
And I'm like, wow, that's amazing. But I chalked it up to Jeremy Adams being very sort of tight with the storytelling and fitting a lot of stuff into one issue that I just assumed like, oh, we're picking up from 15, which clearly was a whole different tie-in series. Now we're in All In, and it didn't occur to me again that All In had anything to do with AEW because I know of AEW All In. And I've heard of DC All In, and it wasn't until I got to the little secondary story at the end here. Oh, it's the same All In.
And so, at least in my Apple books, the back pages of this comic is about Will Ospreay, an AEW wrestler. So does make sense. Yeah, DC did not do a great job with the Civil Core special of advertising it properly. I get my comics in Apple books. And usually 2 weeks before they come out, I can pre-order it right in the app. I pay for it. And then right at midnight, I get an alert and says that it's live. The Civil Core special, I still think isn't even in there. And that came out a week ago. So I had to like break away from that and go get just that issue on a different place and then come back to Apple books for these. Yeah, in the Civil Core special, it was like 3 of the core 4 teaming up. We had Guy, John, and Hal together again. Carol was there as Star Sapphire, and people gave him a little bit of crap about that, but it was like, tongue in cheek with a smirk because he was happy to talk about how she's back around. And like the big moment was right at the end. They unveiled that Mogo was a Red Lantern and he was being controlled and he was going to like destroy an entire planet.
Yeah.
Which was a huge moment, which is also how this comic starts.
Right.
So real quick, I want to segue before we start. Mogo turning into a Red Lantern is a pretty big moment at the end of the last comic. For those who delve too deep and you look up the solicits that come out every month for what's going to be coming out in a few months' time, they literally spoiled that in the solicits. So your last page turn, Mogo, Red Lantern, big moment. If you keep up with the solicits, it was already ruined for you.
Right.
So I've stopped reading the solicits, period, because I do like being surprised.
Right. Okay. So I need to start reading solicits because I know they're available. That's something I never even dawned on me. Like, hey, Ralph, maybe you should keep up on this stuff so you know when things are coming out. Because I think it was last month where I forgot that Green Lantern 15 was coming out, and we ended up doing this show like a day later than normal. it's something I need to be better at, and I totally will by next month. And I mean, I might pick up the Green Lantern Dark and read it next week, because I did read the interview in the back of the book, and I know it's there for like advertising and to get people to go read it, but I was genuinely like kind of excited about something new and different. um
Same. And you don't need to know what's going on in this story or any other previous
right,
stories to be able
right,
to get into Dark. It should just be its own thing.
right. I have been, since almost its inception, have been a user of Comixology, and then they moved over to Amazon, and it's a little bit wonky, but when I'm
Yeah.
reading like 1 or 2 books a month, like it's not really a big deal. But yeah, I could use something that lets me know, like, hey, like, you should read this thing first. So, um, but anyway, when I opened up the book, and went to that first page where you see Mogo as a Red Lantern, I'm like, oh, I don't think I've ever seen anything like this before. Did we get like a black? No, we got, okay. So we got Xanxi, I think, is a Black Lantern in
Yes.
Blackest Night. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But we
Yeah.
haven't seen Mogo as anything other than a Green Lantern. Um, and immediately I was like, man, do I love Jeremy Adams. I really like, who, oh, did he write the Civil Core
Yeah, so I think
special?
it was a team up with him and PKJ or PJK. Philip, who wrote the Civil, or yeah, he wrote John's story.
The War Journal.
Yeah, I want to say Philip Kennedy Johnson.
Mhm.
They teamed up to write the Civil Core special.
And what do you think of that?
I really liked it. You know, I know some other people shredded it. I think some part of it was like, we talked about this before on a different issue, the cover and what's on the cover.
Right.
It didn't take place in the comic. So it was like one of those issues for a couple of them. But I thought overall, you know, it's continuing to move the story along.
Yeah.
Um, just me being me and the Kyle Rayner fan that I am, if you're going to have the Civil Core and you have 3 of the 4 corpsmen, having Kyle in it would have been icing on the cake.
Right. That was the one thing in this issue that I missed. I was like, oh yeah, we haven't revisited these guys in a while because of the tie-in. Um,
Yes.
and so I was like, okay, I hope we get back to him. As far as I know, he's still hiding behind boxes, like in a fetal
Yep.
position, and it's
Kind
been
of just,
like, what, 5 months or something at least.
it's been forever.
Yeah, and
I need
it
something.
was like a big splash page too.
Yeah.
Um,
With
and it's
all the
nothing
different
against.
colors. It's one of the coolest drawn and colored panels of any of the comics we've had recently. I really love that shot, and we've not really been
Yeah,
able to capitalize on it since. But I think um, stuff that happens throughout this comic, I think we're gonna be led there soon.
yeah. When I went on that hiatus for a week to work on my movie, I used that image of Kyle crouched down in the background. It says, I'm on hiatus, and I use
Yeah,
that like fetal position. Yeah, it was such a big deal. And then, I understand why he hasn't been around. It's because there was this tie-in that had to be done, this 3-issue tie-in or 4. Um, that's in the past. We're now back into the main book. So for me, when I started this without reading the special, I was like, hit the ground running. I'm ready. I'm all in. I'm ready to go with this. It seems like the all in moniker really isn't a tie-in. It's just like sort of a ancillary event that's going on. Like, it's not messing
yeah,
with the storytelling. Um, so so just being thrown back into this story, I was very excited because I mean, as far as I was concerned, it goes off like with a bang, literally
it
with
does.
Mogo as a Red Lantern, and I was like, holy cow. And there's a bunch of moments in this issue, I don't really get goosebumps, but there was like 3 or 4 moments in this that like kind of gave me that goosebump feeling. So many great moments. I'm gonna pop open my iPad, so if you see me looking away, it's just
Oh, you're
because
fine.
there's certain thing that I remember happening, but I want to make sure that I cover all the bases. First and foremost, like, Xermánico's art, as much as I really enjoy the art in the tie-in, Xermánico, dude, he's so good.
He's a killer, man. He's seriously, he's got to be one of the artists who's at like the top of DC right now. I don't really keep up with the Marvel stuff in terms of comics, but at DC, like
Yeah,
to me, his art is top tier.
yeah. So seeing that like Thanagar is on its like last legs, I was like, what is happening? And then you turn to reveal Mogo. And it's just like for me, like Jeremy Adams had this idea of someone else controlling lanterns and being able to use all powers
Yep.
of the spectrum. Um, Such an easy concept, such a thing where it's like, I can't believe that hasn't been done yet. To then say, okay, if we had this concept, what would be really fun to play with? And Mogo didn't even occur to me once this whole run, these whole 15 issues where they've been planting the seed of these United Planet lanterns. Like nobody, like it never occurred to me like, oh, what if Mogo has this? Never once. Never once. And it's just like, oh, they have the Death Star. They have a Death Star now.
I've always thought
And
the concept of Mogo was just really kind of just very out there, but it works for
right.
the lantern lore. The fact that you have basically a planet that can turn into a lantern, typically a Green Lantern. For those who aren't familiar, he's
Mhm.
always been a Green Lantern. But to just be an actual living, breathing planet, that kind of size, that kind of pull. And in the first couple panels of this, it's Mogo destroying another planet, and they're just lucky to get away with the people that they got away with, saving the small amount of people to them. You know, you saved 1,000 lives, but
It's
how
the
many lives were lost because we
reference.
couldn't do better?
It's kind of a reference to the pilot episode of Green Lantern the animated series. There's a few things in here
Yeah,
again that Jeremy Adams, I feel like he loved that series. He worked on that series, and there's some things that he picked up along the way where it's like, I'd like to play with that. I'd like to do this. There's definitely some stuff in here that reminds me of that. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to open up the book, is because there's like three of those things that I noticed, and I'm really excited to talk about those. It's great because again we have Ranians, or people from Ran,
yeah,
and Thanagar, like classic DC Ran Thanagar war. Like here comes the Green Lantern Corps that's now corrupted and is like just destroying both of them. It's like you thought that battle was crazy, get a load of this. um and I really love this idea, and I feel a little like it's like Carol Ferris in this book. I really like. I like
same.
what he's doing. Hal isn't just there to be her savior, but he also is wants to protect her, and she has her own mission to do, and she's fully capable of doing it. Hal says that essentially, like, hey, listen, an engine's an engine. You need to go
Yeah,
fix this engine so these people can get out of, the orbit of Mogo and saved. I thought that was such a good use of her character.
same.
You
I think I
know,
told you on a previous show that I don't love what she's been up to so far, but my mind is open to whatever he's going to do, because I do trust Jeremy Adams to write
yeah.
her well, because the other stuff is written really, really well. And I've been waiting for like the moment for her to like really stand out. And in this, right on the early pages, you get that moment where it's her, John, and Hal, and
Oh, so good.
they're like, we're about to go to war. And she's like, I don't know if I'm ready for this. And he's like, well, you're not, but I don't need you to help us fight out there. I need
Yeah,
you to help these people here, to take care of this, to make sure everybody here gets to safety, which was kind of like not a callback because it was a recent issue, but in the previous issue, she's trying to learn how to be heroic, how to be a hero
right.
and save other people. And now she's gonna like get her chance to try and do that in this comic. And
Yeah,
I just love the way that it's been written, how it's been set up. And then the moment she has later, I think is just really Jeremy Adams is winning me over with,
yeah,
Carol trying to be heroic for sure.
yeah. It also reminded me of the Justice League movie where Batman tells the Flash, "Just go save one person."
Yes.
It's that thing where, and it's also in Green Lantern the animated series pilot um, where the planet destroyer takes out the planet. I forget the name. It was Kurtwood Smith's character. Um, is holding the planet killer at bay for as long as he can, while Kilowog, Hal, and save as many of the people as they can. Like it's one of those things where it's like it sucks that they only saved like 1,000 people out of 1,000,000,000, but like that's there could be no one saved.
But that's still more than
Yeah,
zero. And it's
yeah,
still putting others before
yeah.
you, trying to help out, trying to do the right thing as best as you can.
And I would have loved to see Kilowog around for this because, again, like in Green Lantern the animated series, he said that he's the last of his kind, and that weighs heavy on him. So for him, that's a lesson that he likes
So
to pass along. Just
you
saving one person.
you do need to read the Civil Corps special.
Oh no, is Kilowog okay?
Kilowog is kind of okay.
Okay.
Um, I don't know how much like spoilery you want me to get. It
I
is
mean, I
like
know that if the big reveal is Mogo is a Red Lantern, that I mean, what else are you gonna do? I mean, I'm gonna read it regardless. I'm probably gonna
Kilowog is
download it after.
alive,
Okay, good to know.
but Kilowog is currently being controlled, and he is a Yellow Lantern in the Civil Corps
Got it.
special.
Okay. Okay.
And he thumps the heroes pretty good. So, and I forgot he was in it until you just brought him up because he's not in this issue.
Yeah. Yeah, he's not. He's not.
But I was stoked to see him in it.
Yeah. So there's the moment with Hal and Carol, and he essentially says like, "We're gonna go buy you some time." And she says like, "What are you gonna do?" And he says, "What we're trained to do," and essentially like go raise hell. And it's one of my favorite moments. I loved it. Um, the don't raise hell moment, or the raise hell moment, was like,
Yes.
here we go. Like this feels like I haven't had anything like this where I'm just like, oh hell yeah, here we go, since before the Grant Morrison run.
So you're talking about
Like,
Goosebumps. I got them a little bit there. I
yeah,
do think that that's a really awesome moment too. She's like,
because
"Well, what are y'all gonna go do?" And he's like, "What we're trained to do." And it's not just saying it. Later
yeah.
in the issue, when he and John are
Oh my
fighting
god.
together, I think he makes a comment where there's a line about like
We
they
don't have to
already know
talk.
what each other's going to
Yeah.
do because we've been here before. We've done 1,000 of these fights. I know what he's good at and what he's going to do, and he knows what I'm good at and what I'm going to do. They just work perfectly together.
Dude, okay, so I want to talk about that because it's so great. It's almost as if James Gunn was like, "Hey, listen, we have a show coming out where it's Hal and John together for like early days, like John is young, Hal's older, whatever. But we need to like build a relationship." And I don't know if that's Jeremy Adams getting influenced by outside, you know, forces, or if it's something he came up with. But the John and Hal dynamic in this is also something we haven't seen in a long time. It always seems like their books are separate. It
Yes.
always seems like Hal is in Green Lantern and John is in Green Lantern Corps or War Journal or Mosaic or whatever it is. It's like they've always seemed separated, but they're always together in like every crossover event. So your Sinestro Corps Wars, your Blackest Nights, and stuff like that. Your Brightest Days. All of these things where it's like, man, I mean, I know Guy Gardner was introduced before John Stewart, but Guy was just kind of like a one shot, like a one off story, and then came
Yeah.
back later. But like Al and John are like the main, like the oldest, like Silver Age Green Lantern characters.
Yeah. They're the
And
ones people most look to
yeah,
as if you say who are the Green Lanterns, they'll tell you Hal and they'll tell
yeah.
you John.
Like like guys our age would say Hal, and like Gen would, like millennials who watch like, Justice League Unlimited and
Yeah.
stuff like that, would say John. Like
Yes.
that's just how it works. So like to see them together, and then to see like the animation, or not the animation, not animated, it's the drawings. Xermánico is so good when he shows Hal with the two swords on either side of him, and he
Yeah.
slices through those ships. Like I can see like in my brain what that looks like. There was like, what was it, an Andor? Luthen's ship had the two
Yeah.
lasers come out the side and do that spinning thing, like stuff like that, where I'm just like you can feel like the power of what a Green Lantern can do. And but these guys are so like fine tuned, like they're just both rolling around in cars, you know, and
Literally.
yeah,
They
they're
got a
just
car
driving
construct. Yep.
like Mad Max style cars. You can see like the engine parts inside the.
Yeah.
I mean, while Zermanica was had the last like 4-month break, like you could really see that, oh, maybe I have more time to work on these cars.
Right. Yeah.
It looks so good. But my favorite moment of that was, there's a lot of panels. There's like some, like a montage of different stuff that John's up to and Hal's up to.
Yeah.
And I didn't really catch it, but Hal did, where he said to John, "Oh, I saw you made a boxing glove." And John's like, "That's the first time I tried it. It's not bad." Like,
After I read it, I was trying to look to see where, because I was
I
like, I
had to
didn't see
go
a box
back.
of. Yeah.
Yeah, it's in there. It's I'll see if I can post this. I'll see if I can get this on here, but it's really, really, it's on this splash page. I don't know if you could see it. There's like a bunch of panels.
Is it the kind of like the splintered or almost like crystalled out panel?
It's yeah, and it's, could this get in there? There it
Yeah, I
is.
see the one where I
There's the
see the like
boxing
the
glove.
bear. Okay, yeah. I got you.
Yeah, I had to go back and look because I'm like, I did not catch that. Yeah, there's like a Star Sapphire silhouette on there. There's, John being choked by chains. He breaks the chains and then uses a boxing glove.
Yes.
Which for me, like John has always been like, at least since the Johns era, the Jeff Johns era, like meticulous and using very detailed like marine sort of parts and sniper rifles
Yeah.
and tanks, and then he'll also do like the architect stuff where
Architecture.
it's
Yep.
blueprints and stuff. And so by him being choked like that and him getting out of it, like it's just now pure instinct. And he just did the boxing glove. Like he's like, what's the simplest tool I could come up with to do this? And it's like,
Yep.
he almost did it out of like desperation. Like he kind of sunk the house level, because I feel like John would pride himself in his constructs because they're all very precise. They're all designed perfectly.
Yes.
And Hal's just like baseball bat, boom. Like Hal's just like blunt instrument,
Yeah,
like,
something sort of basic, but it'll work.
Yeah. And that's Hal. Like, don't overthink it, is Hal. Hal always looks before he, or doesn't look before he leaps. Hal goes
sure.
in head first. And so his constructs are very like, fly swatter. Like, I love it. And so for John to kind of not like sink down to that level, but it shows that John is like so overwhelmed by the situation, like he's going for the simple route. He's like, I don't have time to think about how, a sniper rifle is constructed like
right
perfectly to
we need to
every
do
last
something
bolt.
right now. This thing's a big threat, and I'm currently in chains. I gotta get out of this. Just get him off me for a minute.
Yeah. Who's it? Is it John that uses the like bulldozer and stuff, like just to gather up all those other lanterns?
Yes.
It's so fun. Like it brought me so much joy. So I kind of stopped reading Jeffrey Thorne's Green Lantern run. I should probably go back and catch up on that. I just, now that I can get it in a trade and just, not spend, $5 an issue.
Yeah.
But I'm not super familiar with Carrie, the Teen Lantern. I know enough about her.
That's where I'm
And
at.
yeah. And like I knew that she created a Green Lantern ring out of just like technology, which I always thought was kind of, I don't know. I didn't think it was great. I'm like, oh well, I mean, that means like the whole thing with the Green Lantern rings are there. You get one because you're kind of special and you kind of like deserve it.
Each of the different
So
cores will seek you out for a different reason.
yeah,
But now you want us to believe that somebody could, with the right technology, just make these.
yeah. So I was never really into it, but I think Jeremy Adams has found a way to kind of utilize that and make it like more turn it into something really interesting, which is these bad guys, the Durlans, uh, are utilizing that.
Yeah.
They're essentially
These
like scanning
Durlans,
your brain.
they're not. I mean, they're bad, but they weren't
Yeah,
trying to be as bad as Tharos was, where he was
right.
taking it too far and rushing things. Gotta kick my cat out of the room real quick.
That's fine. But it's one of those things where I'm like, okay, so they're using her brain to essentially figure out the technology behind it. And I'm like, okay, cool. So a thing that I had a problem with, Jeremy Adams has gone in, deconstructed it, and turned it into something where I like am finding a pretty compelling story.
Oh
Again,
yeah.
like there was complaints about there's too many lanterns from Earth. Why are there too many? They keep making lanterns from Earth. But then if you don't like that, Jeremy Adams is like, well, I'll come up with a reason why. And he did, and it was because of this hidden power battery on Earth, and it needed that many lanterns to protect it or whatever, and it was just like, okay, cool. So he's almost like, hey, anybody who has any problems with Green Lantern, let me see what those are and see how I could fit it into the story.
And
And
try to
so
make
far
sense of it.
it's been pretty good. Like I'm now interested for the first time ever. I'm interested in Teen Lantern. I've never had any sort of
There you go.
I never had any kind of even like curiosity about her. I saw the design, I'm like, yeah, whatever. Um and but this like one page of uh her inner thoughts
Yeah.
with Ellie, I'm like, this is interesting. You literally get into the character's head, which is nice. Um, and again, it's just like 2 pages of that storyline. Like Jeremy Adams is real, like cuts out the fat and really like lays stuff out. And with the artwork, it's just done so perfectly. Where I'm like, great, this is all I need to get excited about this character. I know Joe is another issue with people. Yet another Earth Lantern that was created within like the last 5 or 6 years. Um, I like her inclusion into this story. I think if I'm all for bringing in more characters, because if someone who only liked Gerard Way and stuff and decided to read Far Sector, the Young Animal book, um, and if they liked it, why not bring them over to get into other Green Lantern stories? So that's a perfect thing to do, is bring Joe into the story. And I found this utterly fascinating, is her relationship with Guy.
Guy, yeah.
He's setting something up. He's
It
definitely
sure
setting
feels
something
like
up.
it. And
Yeah.
it's her scene also where I was talking about the whole Kyle Rayner thing, and maybe we're gonna go visit him. Guy asks her, it looks romantic, honestly.
That's romantic.
It
Look at
does look that'll make shippers real happy,
Guy
but it
looks
does look
so
very romantic.
come on.
And they
Um
even have like a audibly flirty interaction where she's like, "Oh, I must be in hell if I'm seeing you." And then she's like, "I'm just kidding, by the way. I didn't really
yeah.
mean that." And he's like, "Well, maybe based on where we're going, you might wish that that's where you were, depending on how this all turns out."
Yeah.
But he asks her, like, as they're trying to head out and run away, "Do you have a spot where we can hide?" And she's like, "I do." And she's got to be leading him to where Kyle currently is. So I'm hoping that in
Yes.
the next issue,
Yeah.
he rejoins the story.
Yeah. This is not an accident. There, look at his hand embracing her head, and he's basically carrying her like
Yes.
a bride over the threshold.
And it's the looks on the faces as she's saying the whole like, "Oh, I must be in hell." He's like smirking about it.
Yeah.
It definitely comes across as like a romantic vibe.
Yes, that's
Now,
something that he I think would enjoy. Like that's the kind of humor that would, make that relationship work.
not
The
not
plan.
everybody's like the biggest fan of Larfleeze. He popped up a couple issues ago. I'm a
Okay.
huge fan of
Yeah.
Larfleeze. So
Yeah.
anytime I get to see him in a comic and he's just wreaking havoc in this one, it's one of those he gets one
This
page,
is
one panel, but he's just out here doing damage, like exactly what he should be doing. I love the
yes,
look of the character. I like the powers. I like how strong he can be when he's at his fullest power. I know that like it's cool to me that the other lanterns were like, let's release him and he'll at least give
yes,
them a distraction because of how powerful
yes,
he is. And sure, we may have to deal with him later, but that's a later problem, not a now
yeah,
problem.
yeah.
And it
Erase
continues to make
again.
Larfleet look strong.
It's that same through line that Hal and John were saying. Let's go raise hell. Like this is like guys in the same boat. He's like, the best way out of this situation, open up all the science cell doors.
Yeah.
Let's go. And to show Larfleeze, to have Larfleeze be sort of the the imagery that they chose for this chaos in the science cell block, is like the perfect thing, because Larfleeze is just like bonkers. I'm a massive Larfleeze fan.
Cool.
Again, something else that a character from that was in the animated series. I feel like Jeremy Adams is just like, I want to play with more with those characters. And he's just going to town because Larfleeze is pretty powerful, especially when he doesn't have his power battery.
Yeah.
Like his avarice, his greed is so great that like he's basically like unstoppable until he gets it. And I feel like if they let Larfleeze go, if he has his ring, the worst thing Larfleeze is going to do is going to go, off to his planet and just hang out by himself like Gollum, and just like just just
Yes.
just embrace his precious power
He
battery
needs the
and all his
precious.
rings. Yeah. So it's like, you know what? This is a good situation for Larfleeze to be in, because he's just going to fend these guys off and completely just like cause so much chaos that we can jailbreak, the other GLs that we need to get. Such a great, such a great story beat. And yeah, again, it's like one page. It's one page with Larfleeze, and he's kind of in the background of a couple of other shots. But such a
That's just another
perfect
thing that
like
Jeremy Adams does really well with is there's been a couple times now where we've talked about, well, this character or these characters are only getting this one page or these two panels in this issue, but he's making all of those moments count. He's making
yeah,
you want to invest in those characters, even with the minimal time that they're getting on the page.
yeah,
And I mean, for me, I don't really need that from Larfleeze. I'm going to be invested anyway because I love the character. I think he's so
yeah.
cool. But it's nice to see the comic play out as it does, and then Larfleeze is still given his
It's
due.
just, you turn the page and he's just standing there, and you're like, what is
Yep.
happening? Because the bad guys they want to get to Oa, because they're like, oh, that's where John and Hal are heading. And then it cuts to Oa and it's Larfleeze, and you're like, what? Wait, huh? It's so good. I like the
And then you
redesign of
go from
Larfleeze's outfit.
go ahead.
I said I like the redesign of Larfleeze's outfit.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool outfit.
And then we go
Um,
from Greed and Larfleeze, and we have that moment. It's in the same page really, or it's the next page that you have Guy and Joe looking
mhm.
lovey-dovey. And then when you turn to
Yeah,
the next page, we go back to Star Sapphire, that kind of
yeah,
love. And she's sort of running out of juice from powering the aircraft earlier. And she's
mhm.
talking about how she's feeling tired. And then the captain is like, we need to bring her here because I think she needs to see something. And what you see on the screen is just this giant creature. It's the Predator. Um, like
Right.
the entity for the Star Sapphires in I don't know if it's coming to do damage because it thinks that she's in danger, or if it's just coming to her because she has just used a tremendous amount of power and it's kind of driven to
Or
that.
or what if it's vice versa? Maybe subconsciously she guided them to Predator.
Oh,
Maybe they're
absolutely. Yeah.
maybe they're at Zamaron. Do you think they went to Zamaron? Is Predator still in Zamaron?
I think
I
I
have
had to
no
reread
idea.
it, but I think I want to say earlier in the issue I think they were talking about that, but I'd have to double back to look for sure.
Yeah,
But I want to say I think that's where they were headed.
yeah. Um, This book is good. This book is so good. No backup story. I mean, there's the AEW one.
Yeah, not the
But
same.
but like I am not feeling well. I've had like a kind of a rough day, sore throat, headache, tired, doing a lot of work and stuff. And I sat down for, I don't know, what does it take? Like 10 minutes, 15
Yeah,
minutes to read one of these. I tend to like read it slow and like pour over and look at all the details and the art and stuff. So about a good 15 minutes of just like where all of that like washed away. It made me so happy. I was getting really excited to talk about it with you. I was like, this feels so good. Like this book feels so good. And seeing John and Hal's relationship played out like this, which I feel like it's been forever since we've seen something like this, it made me more excited about the series, even though there are different points in their life when that series takes place. But it was just one of those things where I'm like, man, maybe Green Lantern can be back. Just
that's
maybe.
that's
There
the
was
hope.
some there's some Justice League game coming out. I don't fully understand it. It's like a choose your own adventure, but it's like by vote or something. Have you seen this thing? It's
I
a
haven't, but I do like a choose your own adventure type game, like
yeah,
from a Telltale Games where you get to like pick the different
it's
options
like
on the screen.
that. It's like that, but I guess it's like the do you kill Robin? Call this number. Does Robin stay
Oh,
alive? Etc. So it's like that. It feels like you get three options. It looks animated. I don't know how this thing works, and I don't know what it's called. Um, but what I noticed on the artwork in that, which has been a while since this has happened, Green Lantern's pretty much front and center in the artwork again.
ooh,
So it's like, okay, because for a while there, he was like, if he was on any sort of artwork of the Justice League, he would be way in the back, tiny. Like all of a sudden, like, I mean, obviously there's the movies, but like Aquaman was getting more towards the front with like Wonder Woman,
yeah.
Batman, and Superman. And then like the Flash was kind of getting smaller and Green Lantern was way in the back. But this artwork that I saw for this game, I wish I knew the name of it. Um, I definitely saw a Green Lantern. Green Lantern, not totally front and center, but moving his way back up to the front, and that makes me really excited. I like that. As much as James Gunn is posting about stuff with DC Studios and stuff with the comics, his feed is very DC centric, and I do like that he's probably posted more about Green Lantern in the last year and a half than DC did in the last since 2011. It feels really good to be a Green Lantern fan right now.
Yes, for
And
sure.
Jeremy Adams, like it's one of those things where I want him to be on the show, but at the same time, like I think I'd be terrified. He seems like a cool guy, but I just like I don't know what I would ask him because it's like how it would just be like how are you doing this? How are you doing kind of what Jeff Johns did, taking the source material, finding little things that are fun to play with, expanding on them without feeling stale. It doesn't feel none of this
Yeah,
feels stale. Like we have seen John and Hal fight side by side in a giant space battle with a billion ships before, but for some reason, it's the writing and the art where it just like feels fresh or it's just bringing me comfort. It may be like a warm blanket. Like those scenes are giving me comfort, those big battle scenes, but the
I
individual
think it's no,
storylines
I
are
think you're on the
really,
right
really
track.
good too.
I think it's very, very much familiar but new. I think that's where
Yeah.
he's been succeeding a ton with this run so far. Is you have all the callbacks, but even if you don't know that it's a callback, it's still good content.
Yeah.
You have these callbacks that, as they pop up, it does make you remember something that happened in the past if you're like a Lantern lore fanatic, but it's not like a one for one copy and it still feels fresh. Like there hasn't been anything that he's done through like a 16 or 17 issues if you count the Civil Core, but none of it has felt stale to me at all. He's just done a really, really awesome job. Maybe you
Yeah.
just jump into his DMs and throw like 20 questions at him, and then before he even replies, just hey, Any chance you'd be interested in answering some of these out loud on the channel if you ever get like 30 minutes, could pop
Yeah,
by?
maybe, because the thing is, it's like he's only 16 issues in, so that's like barely, not even like a year and a half.
Yeah.
And
You could Flash
already
forever,
he's had to do 2 tie-in
which
runs,
is insane.
and which I can't imagine. Like, he clearly loves the characters Green Lantern and Green Lantern, and he's worked on the show. He worked on the animated series, and now he's like getting his own Green Lantern book. And they're just like, okay, but we have this tie-in and we have this tie-in, and you got to do this thing. And I don't know if he's complained about it or if he's just like, I'll just do what they say. I have my own book. I'll get to my story. I don't know. But the effort that went into those tie-ins where it didn't feel out of place with the rest of the story is
Yeah.
like amazing. Like the fact that he's able to weave this stuff in and make it work. And I've never felt like, I'm reading like a completely disjointed 3-issue story arc from the main story. Like, it never felt that way. Yeah, we had the Sorrow Lantern. I'm sure they'll be back, and the Alan Scott stuff, they'll be back. But it's one of those things where it's just like, man, he really knows how to make a good use of his time as far as like spreading out the characters. Kyle needs a little. We need to see Kyle next month for sure.
For sure.
Because they are going back there. They're going to that the fallback house.
A little hideout.
Yeah. But I can't complain. I think the only reason why I'm sad I haven't seen Kyle is because of the tie-in issues the last few months. But we'll get there. And I think it'll be soon. Do you have anything else to say about this issue or the book in general?
No, I think that, like you were saying, I really enjoyed this issue. I think it to me, it's actually one of the better ones. I think the highs in this issue were really, really high. I don't think there was anything that was like super low or notable. But
like for me, the only thing low would be Teen Lantern, and it wasn't.
Even that, once you have that, and then Ellie showed up, and they're about to have a conversation, and like we'll kind of see, because that's got to play into the bigger story of the technology aspect of it. How much do the bad guys have of this? Because they said they're really close to perfecting it. So, will the Lanterns figure out a way to destroy that so that they can, make sure that this isn't a thing going forward where the technology could just continually fall into the wrong hands over and over and over. And every time they do, they can sort of like take over different parts of the emotional spectrum and just make their own rings. Seeing that part of it play out, and it's a cool way to tie it into the bigger story for sure, for a character I'm not really invested in. I just think that Jeremy's done such a great job. I cannot wait. Hopefully, next week, you remember, I'll probably ping you on the day before and just remind you Green Lantern Dark is going to drop. I haven't looked to the month after to see how much we're getting. It might just be Green Lantern 17. But maybe we'll come up with like a shared calendar that we just throw Green Lantern stuff on, and then it's easier to keep up with.
I mean, heck, I want to say, I'm gonna look at my calendar real quick. So October 30th, the day before Halloween, is a Wednesday. So maybe we just save it as a Halloween show. Yeah,
there you go.
Like that. But I did read that interview on the back, and I thought it had me intrigued for sure. It had me intrigued. And then I just did a pre-order of McFarlane Has New Superpower figures. It's a 3-pack. I'm not excited about the other 2, but there is an Alan Scott Green Lantern.
His cape looks awesome.
Yes, it even comes up. So, and they put the ring in the right hand, which I love. I always pay close attention to where the ring is, and I love when it's his is on the left hand. I can't. I already pre-ordered it. It says it's showing up in November, and so I'll definitely do like an unboxing show with my toy buddies and stuff, and I can't wait for that. Will, thanks again. Green Lanterns podcast. Anything big coming up? I know you're covering anything Lanterns related on HBO Max.
So now that Rings of Power has ended and I can fully move back over to the Green Lantern fandom, I just want to take a small little break. but I am getting ready to put out a couple of videos with like the official Kyle Chandler as Hal Jordan and Aaron Pierre as Jon Stewart, and then probably a third video the following week talking about the rumored actress who will be playing a potential love interest of one of those two characters.
Yeah. And it's been fun seeing like the news outlets picking up the Kyle Chandler and Aaron Pierre news and having them side by side. And I'm like, I kind of like the way that looks. I think it's going to be cool.
Yes.
I really want to
I've
see
seen
these
some
two
cool
interact.
concept art that the fans have made that I thought was really, really awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. I really hope they stick to the Silver Age comic outfits and not the Earth One like they've been promoting.
That's
just
very, very intriguing to like learn what kind of costuming they will have on the show.
Yeah,
for
it's
sure.
it's one of those things where it's just like I want to see that outfit because the Wayne T. Carr outfit from the stills from Zack Snyder's Justice League, like it looked like Green Lantern, and I'm like, oh, cool. Bet I can't see him moving around, you know.
My hope right now is that DC and HBO and Warner, they see that there's an appetite for live action superhero television because the Penguin is getting rave reviews right now, and
It's
the
so
numbers that it's doing is on par with like it's not quite House of the Dragon numbers,
right.
but they said it's like the biggest thing that they've had that's an original since The Last of Us. And the numbers that have been posted online, even James Gunn's been so happy he's retweeting them. It's a Lantern show. It has to have a decent sized budget in general, but before they start filming, maybe Jimmy Rockets will be willing to throw a little bit more at it because of how well Penguin has done. You don't want to do something that people have up here and then the follow-up isn't quite the same.
My friend Mick did the music for the Penguin series. And I keep telling him, I'm like, dude, Mick Giacchino, his dad's Michael Giacchino, who did Lost. I told him, I said, dude, tell your dad to go talk to Damon and do the music. You got it. I said, go do the music for Lanterns so that I can go to the scoring session and I could, get a little taste. Give me a little taste of that Green Lantern. But I'm hoping, I told him, he's like, oh, I don't know. We'll see. And I'm like, just go. I don't know what you have to do. Just set up a meeting.
Get on.
If my friend scores the Green Lantern series, and I'll just be like so ecstatic.
It'd be crazy highlight.
Yeah. Thanks for joining me again. I'm gonna go probably have some Dayquil.
Yeah. Thank you everybody who tuned in and everybody who's left comments. And then again, thank you for having me on, and hopefully you feel better fairly quick.
Yeah, I might go read that. I'm gonna go probably read that special right now. That'll make me feel good.
There you go. You'll see that Kilowog.
All right. Thanks for joining me. I'm gonna see. Okay, again, like I mentioned this before we started recording, there's new buttons on StreamYard, so hopefully this next button works. And until next time, beware my podcast. It's Lanterns Live. All right, bye.